The young men in the village started sweating nervously. They knew very well that the mercenary army they were up against was famous across Africa with an incredibly powerful military force. Even regular armies had to be cautious of them. Taeyong, hearing this, felt a bit curious. The Baker family, are they really that strong? The tribe leader stepped out shirtless and explained clearly, speaking in a direct manner. The Baker family is the biggest weapons dealer in this area, but they're basically more like a group of warlords. They own a massive stockpile of modern weapons, and with that power, they've been constantly taking control of gold mining rights from other companies. I should have thought of them sooner. The Baker family's real armed forces, aside from basic machine guns, also have plenty of heavy weapons, artillery, military vehicles with weaponry, and so on. The evil tribe leader saw that the good tribe leader was a little scared, so he stood up and laughed loudly like a maniac. It's too late to be afraid now, ha ha ha. Just wait, I'll watch you all tremble in despair, and in the end, you'll meet a miserable death. But before he could finish, an arrow shot straight into his thigh, causing him to scream loudly like a dog. The one who shot the arrow was none other than Taeyong. Shut up, you loser. Go tell that group of bakers, or whatever they're called. The Kanda tribe is really looking forward to seeing your ragtag crew again. With that, the cart carrying the evil tribe leader sped off into the night. Over here, everyone jumped down from their horses to talk. A young man rushed over and called out, "Strategist Kim, what should we do now?" Taeyong, still calm, replied, "Let me think for a moment." Meanwhile, Nadia blushed, silently thinking, no matter what happens, our tribe can win with fewer people because of Taeyong's incredible abilities. And this thing he calls the 36 stratagems, it must be divine wisdom. Thinking about this, she quickly leaned in to give him a quick kiss, which got the villagers excited, cheering and shouting in delight. "Thank you, Lord Taeyong, for coming to save our Kanda tribe. We should be the ones to thank you," one of them said. "Thank you, Lord Strategist, thank you, Lord Strategist, thank you, Lord Strategist." A crowd continued to cheer. After over 20 minutes of joy, Taeyong politely asked to leave and head back to school, as it was getting late. "Well, I'm off to school now. Ru Meng, get in the car quickly." This left Du Ru Meng a little confused. "Oh, do we really need to go to school at this hour? Of course, it's almost morning. We can't afford to miss any grades." Seeing this, everyone was speechless. In such a critical moment, Taeyong was still worried about his studies. As they saw Taeyong and Du Ru Meng heading off, a few of the young men quickly asked, "Will the Lord Strategist be coming tomorrow?" For some reason, Nadia suddenly responded happily, "He'll definitely come. I trust the Lord Strategist." Sitting in the green car, Taeyong was in a great mood, shouting loudly, "Hold on tight, I'm speeding up." Meanwhile, Du Ru Meng, sitting behind him, began to feel a sense of admiration for Taeyong. This man was truly unpredictable. As a result, her favorite level for him increased by 6%. Du Ru Meng's current favorite level was 42%. After more than 2 hours, the enemy chieftain finally arrived at his base. He quickly recounted the entire story to his master. This made the master, who was seated above, feel a slight sense of doubt. "Are you saying that we lost this time because of a Chinese strategist? What a ridiculous lie." The enemy chieftain hurriedly defended himself. "It's true. The Chinese strategist not only provided them with battle supplies, but also used his tactics to command the Kanda tribe. On the battlefield, he was like a ghost, appearing and disappearing at will, which is why we suffered such a crushing defeat. He even knows lightness kung fu and can shoot arrows with perfect accuracy." Before he could finish, the master landed a punch squarely on his face, followed by a flurry of blows. "A Chinese strategist, Chinese tactics, archery with perfect accuracy. Damn it, do you think I'm stupid enough to believe that nonsense?" The enemy chieftain trembled, almost as if he were about to die, but he continued to insist that what he said was the truth. Still not convinced, the master turned and walked toward the window, muttering to himself, "Chinese tactics, huh? In the face of overwhelming military strength, no tactic is more than a joke. I'll show you with your own eyes how the Kanda tribe will be turned into a sea of flames." With that, he flung the window open, letting the sunlight pour in. Then he admired his highly advanced military vehicles. By the evening, his army had gathered into a group equipped with the latest weapons. Armored vehicles, military trucks, elite forces, and helmets with triple layers of protection. Everything was ready for a deadly battle. The enemy chief saw this and laughed maniacally, exclaiming, "This time we will definitely wipe out the Kanda tribe." Then he turned to flatter his master, saying, "For the Kanda tribe to force you to personally lead the battle, it's truly a great honor for them. No matter how talented that Chinese strategist is, how could he compare to you? You fought in hundreds of international battles, earned 3 distinguished service medals, 3 excellent cross medals, and 2 gold star medals. You're a legendary figure, and you've even led the special forces on dozens of successful missions. When it comes to the title, King of War, no one can match you." The owner listened to this and felt a bit pleased, but still coldly demanded, "Stop sweet-talking me. Don't think a few nice words will make me forget the past. The costs for the army I'm providing you need to be deducted from the profits of the gold mine. Yes, yes, yes. Once we take over the Kanda tribe, you'll get 90% of the gold mine share. I'll only need 10%, he quickly agreed. Then he continued to sit back confidently with his arms crossed. Just wait and see. The Kanda tribe won't stand a chance against my army. I expect the battle to be over in 20 minutes. The tribal chief quickly spoke up to remind him. Mr. Ha, you need to be careful of the mines. Also, the guerrilla fighters led by the Chinese strategists are very elusive. You'll need to stay alert around the troops. Oh, you think I'm like you? Mr. Ha responded dismissively. My army's experience and equipment are the best in the region. Their small-scale skirmishes don't even come close to being a threat. We have 4th-generation military night vision scopes that make it look like daytime at night, and we also have infrared mine detectors. It's useless for them to hide in the bushes. Plus, we have ultra-sensitive mine detectors with a 5-meter effective radius. No mine can escape detection, and with our military radar vehicles, anything within 500 meters won't be able to slip past us. These top-tier equipment setups alone cost me over $600,000 each, and for this mission, I'm outfitting 100 sets of gear and 5 military vehicles. The truth about war, if you strip it down, is just about who has more money. How could the Kanda tribe, this primitive village, possibly compete with me? But before he could finish speaking, one of his vehicles suddenly exploded. His face, which was already dark, turned even darker, and his mouth kept muttering, "Holy shit, what the hell?" At this moment, he was sitting in the back of the vehicle. Over the radio, reports from his subordinates were coming in nonstop. Boss, the mine detector didn't find any mines, but something just exploded up ahead. Before he could even respond, gunfire erupted from the front. The scar-faced guy's men could only fight back desperately. Meanwhile, the radio in the scar-faced guy's hand continued to crackle with reports. The rear formation is under attack, possibly from the air, but we can't see any enemies. The left flank is also under attack. The enemy is moving too fast. We can't hear any vehicle engines. Request immediate backup. The radar isn't picking up any targets. Could the enemy be attacking outside the radar's range? You need to give orders quickly. The Scarface man immediately shouted, "Fire the flares, hurry up, and fire the flares into the sky." But all that came through the radio were frantic screams, which left him in a state of panic, unsure of what to do. Hello, hello, has the communication been jammed too? Then his vehicle exploded from underneath. However, thanks to the thick armor, he was able to survive and crawl out. But as soon as his head popped up, before he could do anything, a robot dog aimed a gun directly at his head. What he saw next was absolutely terrifying. Countless drones were lined up in the sky. Below them, numerous robot dogs with submachine guns mounted on their heads patrolled. There were also dozens of military vehicles carrying artillery, all waiting for the command to attack. His subordinates, completely stunned, could only scream in terror. One of them kept muttering, "Is this the future of warfare? Did I time travel or something?" The Scarface man stood there, dumbfounded, unable to process what was happening. No wonder we couldn't track the enemy. Their technology is way ahead of ours. High-tech weapons, jamming devices, drones, tanks, artillery, combat robot dogs. How does the Kanda tribe have so much money? Seeing that the enemy could no longer resist, Taeyeon turned up the speaker and confidently announced his name. "Hello, Peter, hello, madam. Is there anyone else who wants to resist? If not, drop your weapons, take off your clothes, and surrender." The underlings of the scarred man immediately dropped their weapons, which made him furious. He shouted loudly, "What are you doing? Who gave you permission to surrender?" "No surrender." But before he could finish his words, a candy-like bullet tore through his eardrum. "You don't want to drink regular wine, but now you're thinking about drinking some Rishi wine, huh? Mr. Hell wants me to remind you, compared to pride, life is the most valuable asset." Realizing the situation was getting out of hand, the scarred man had no choice but to obediently admit, "I surrender." The Kanda tribe's people finally let out a collective sigh of relief, then erupted in cheers. "We won! We won!" Seeing the opportunity, Nadia rushed into Taeyeon's arms and cried like she had never cried before. Thank you for getting us all these weapons." Taeyeon, still in a teasing mood, scoffed, "It's not that many, just a few $1 billion worth. With these weapons, the Kanda tribe would surely never be bullied again." On the outside, Taeyeon remained calm, but inside, he was overjoyed. He had easily made a few $1 billion to play around with. This time, fortune had truly smiled on him. Accordingly, the system also displayed a new notification. Nadia's favorite level increased by 22%. Her current favorite level is now 90%. Since Nadia's favorite level reached 90%, the first phase of her comeback has been completed. $2 billion have been spent on Nadia's power, with a 10% return which equals $200 million. The money has been transferred to your personal account. A bonus of +1 to all attributes has been applied. Her current attribute level is now 17. A skill reward has been granted, and you must choose one from the 3 options. Please select within the specified time frame. Skill S, Mastery of Literature. Skill A, Mastery of Table Tennis. Or Skill B, Mastery of Dance. While I was focusing, suddenly the scar-faced man from below spoke up. Chinese strategist, I have an offer you can't refuse. My Baker family controls nearly all of the gold mining in this region. The annual profit is over $800 million, and there are countless people and forces, both domestic and international, eager to take a piece of the pie. If I'm not mistaken, you are from one of the major families at the top of the pyramid in China, right? Isn't your goal just like ours to get control of this gold mine? But if you think that killing me will let you take over this entire gold mine, you're making a big mistake. Things like the government, policies, and workers. These aren't things just any foreigner can handle. So, you'll need to work with me. That you show me what you're capable of, I can agree to give you half of my annual profits, and the gold mine beneath the Kanda tribe will also be yours. But you have to promise me one thing: you must kill the chief of the Kanda tribe. How does that sound? This deal is pretty sweet, don't you think? Taeyong listened to the offer, then lowered his head and stayed silent for over a minute, making Nadia worry about what was going through his mind. Suddenly, Taeyong burst out laughing, spitting a little, then casually shoved his hands into his pockets and responded to the scar-faced man with a grin. You're thinking too much. But sorry, I'm not interested in the gold mine you're talking about, and I don't plan on betraying my teammates. But since you've got so much money, how about you pay a ransom to me instead? How much do you want to pay? At this point, Taeyong suddenly glanced over at Du Rumeng as if understanding his intent. Du Rumeng stood up and began analyzing the situation. The Burr family controls over 90% of the gold production in the area, and based on rough calculations, their annual revenue could be between 500 to 800 million USD. Their profit margin is around 20 to 30%, which translates to roughly 1.7 billion yuan. Definitely not the 800 million yuan he mentioned. Based on the documents I have about the distribution of gold mineral resources, factory equipment, refining technology, and so on, it's possible to estimate the monthly gold output of the Baker family. From that, we can infer their sales revenue and the amount of gold they hold as assets, which should be around 15 billion RMB. While this is the family business's asset value, I believe Hamza's personal assets are also quite significant. Therefore, I suggest that a ransom price of 500 million to 900 million RMB is very reasonable. When Taeyong heard this, he immediately interrupted Du Rumeng. You've done enough, Sayaming. Thanks. So, just demand half of his assets as the ransom. At that moment, Huo Mattheo was cursing like crazy in his mind. That son of a bitch is asking for half of my assets right off the bat. You're the most unreasonable Chinese brat I've ever met. If I get the chance, I will definitely kill you on the spot. That's what he thought, but on the outside, he acted as harmless as a puppy, timidly whispering, Kid, negotiations aren't supposed to go like this. But Taeyong confirmed, do you even have the right to negotiate with me? 7.5 billion buys your worthless life, and if I don't pay it, I'll bury you with the Kanda tribe's gold. Anyway, we don't need a dying fake prisoner like you. Hearing this, Huo Mattheo clenched his fists so tightly that his veins popped and his mouth was gritted and in a low growl. You're right. My life isn't worth just 7.5 billion. I've already paid the ransom, and somehow he managed to pull out a tablet. I have no idea where it came from, but there was also 7.5 billion yuan in his account, just like that. After a few quick steps, the 7.5 billion was transferred directly into Taeyong's account. When he heard the ding-ding notification that the money had been received, Taeyong happily confirmed the payment. Now he could just disappear without a trace. As for Du Rumeng, after witnessing the entire situation, he had a completely different view of Taeyong. He didn't expect the kid could actually trick people into getting that much money. What was even more surprising was that 7.5 billion yuan was a huge amount of money, even for the Du family. Anyone else would have lost control after getting that kind of cash, a face would have shown it. But Taeyong didn't even flinch. This guy was like a treasure chest. No matter how deep you dug, you could never reach the bottom. Before leaving, the scarred man growled, this little encounter has left a deep impression on me. Kid, where do you come from, and what's your full name? Facing his threatening question, Taeyong calmly replied, my name is Taeyong. I'm just an ordinary student from China. I just saw something wrong and decided to step in. Oh, a student? Interesting. I'll remember the name Taeyong. You're one tough kid.